We are live, joined by Coach Charity this morning. Coach Charity, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Doing awesome. How are you? How is
I
everyone?
I am living the dream. If I was any better, I would say the deck was stacked. I'm going to be honest with you.
Sounds awesome.
You're like, oh, good for you. No. If you guys are tuning in live or on recording, let us know how you're doing in the chat. Feel free to like this video if you want more people to see it. Coach Charity, what are we talking about today?
5 counterintuitive strategies for weight loss that might surprise you.
I was surprised hearing your list.
Mhm.
And I'm excited too because we actually have some resources to share with you guys for each piece that we're going to be throwing into the comment section. We're going to be reviewing them as well. These are resources that we built for you guys in the past, but I know a lot of new people are in the group in the past month, 2 months, and probably haven't seen them. So stay tuned for those. We'll put them in the comments below as we go. So 5 counterintuitive ways. Let's go. What is number one?
Get more sleep.
You don't say.
Get more sleep. I know, right? And it's free. What?
I do love sleep. Yeah, I'd have to say, like, for me in my journey, nothing helps. Like, motivation is what I hear a lot of, right? People say, like, how do I feel more motivated? How do I get more motivated? And, like, obviously, there's things you can do with how you're looking at things to bring things to the surface, to get more clarity on things so that you have more certainty that the actions you take will get results because you know the target that you're looking for. But at the end of the day, there is nothing that beats getting more sleep, especially if you're under 6 hours.
Right. And there's nothing that you can do instead of. You can't take enough supplements for it. You can't, I mean, there's
Right.
nothing is, you can't replace sleep with anything else. And also can mess with your hormones and stuff. It said particularly those that regulate hunger and appetite. So when you're well rested, your body's better at managing cravings and you make smarter and healthier choices.
Crucial. Yeah, I mean, you
Yep.
can we can kick the can down the road with like supplements. Like we can take more pre-workout and more caffeine, and God forbid you get into some of the harder drugs, and you can push the can down the road a few days, but human physiology will catch up to you.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I mean, there's so much going on in sleep. It's amazing. And it needs to be restorative for sure for you to have the best amount of energy to do what you need to do for the next day and be the
Definitely.
best you. Yep.
So, we're talking about the really indirect things that will affect your fat loss. So it's like the fact that you are sleeping more, you're going to feel more motivated and do more of the actions required that are necessary for you to get results. 3 of those simple sleep hacks are: number 1, reduce light exposure. You guys have probably heard this before, especially if you've been on any of our challenges. Blue light, so pretty much the sun, and also usually a lot of light bulbs in the house, white light, blue light, right, is going to signal the brain that it's daytime and it's going to stop melatonin production. This is why phones, TV, you watch it before bed and you're like, oh, I'm not that tired yet. I'm going to watch another show. It's like, no,
Woke
turn
you
it
up.
off. Yeah.
Hmm.
So in my house, the alarm goes off at 7:30. All electronics are off. That gives us 60 minutes to play with my son before he goes to bed, and then literally by the time he's like going to bed, we're like toasted. Versus going, well, I'm just gonna watch a show, and then that turns into 2 shows, and then your sleep's destroyed. The other thing you can
Hey,
do
I've
is
been turning off my Wi-Fi at night, even at night too. So you're not getting all those
that
rays while you're sleeping.
that's an interesting thing. I mean, also, yeah,
Mhm.
if you don't have Wi-Fi, you can't connect to anything. You're like, damn, this phone isn't as exciting.
Mhm. And then it's also, you have to wait for it to come back on. So you better be really mindful about what it is that you're turning it on for if you wake up in the middle of the night. I dare say you're going to not wait for the time. I don't.
That's a
So I
great
just don't even
point.
turn it on.
That's
Yeah.
why I keep my phone in another room too, and I turn it
Hmm.
off. And I,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, not everyone can do that. My wife keeps hers on in
Right.
the room, but I turn mine off
Mhm.
because I don't want to feel pulled to use it.
Mhm.
Which brings us to
Yep.
number 2: charge your phone in the bathroom or the kitchen or some other room. Crucial. And then
Mhm.
last thing, if possible, is to have a sleep schedule. Right? If you have a sleep
Mhm.
schedule, of course, not always possible if you're working 12s or working overnights and you want to get back to to your days of being awake during the day. But if it's at all possible, it will serve you greatly. I
Do you
like
think
it.
if you can't have a schedule, just having a routine, maybe you have 2 or 3 things you do right before you go to bed? Maybe that's putting on PJs, because I do think what you wear matters.
Yeah.
Linen would be your best energetic, and cotton and stuff. You want to go really down the rabbit hole, or having a lotion and a smell that you do. So kind of having that full sensory experience, and then maybe taking a moment to write down 3 gratitudes. But it doesn't matter what time of day, if you're going to bed in the morning or going to bed at night, if you still have that, it's kind of cueing your brain. Oh yeah, this is what I do before I go to sleep, even if the time is not the same, maybe.
That's great. I think that's why my wife, no matter what, she goes, I always take a shower before going to bed because, and I don't, so I'm gross. But, but my wife does, and for her, it's like, oh, I feel like I can end the day, you know?
Yeah, you get to wash it off. I wash my face. Yeah, and he's always like, you just always wash your face. And like, it's telling my brain it's time. And I wash it in the sink, and as opposed to the showers, like the morning routine for the wake up. So it knows, oh, this is time to wind down.
Yeah.
Yep. Little things. Your brain is still a little, it's a brain and it's an animal, and it thrives on routines and telling it what to do.
100%. I dropped the sleep hacks in the comments as well. Anything you want to add before number 2?
No, I think it's good.
Give it to me. Number 2.
Drink more water, especially before meals.
I love it. Yeah, again, it's one of those indirect things. Like, one of the things that you guys have probably heard us say before is add, don't subtract, increase, don't decrease. Instead of focusing on that I can't eat this or I can't eat that or I have to avoid this stuff now because I'm on a diet, it's like, don't even start there. Instead, just focus on what you need to do, increase, and naturally those other things that we would avoid will naturally decrease. And this is like part of the mental game, right? It allows you to calm the inner rebel so that you don't have a snapback, like a rubber band that's pulling, and then comes right back, and then usually more forceful.
Yeah, because sometimes your body can mistake like hunger cues or even being tired when you're really just dehydrated and you need to drink some water. So start there, right? And then maybe think about your sleep stuff, like back to number 1, and keep drinking that water.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. And take a deep breath while you do it too. You can add that. So like combine habits and really give a moment for your body to just rest and release.
Hell yeah. I love it. So we got 3 simple water drinking hacks for you. First one, and just in case you need to be sold on why to drink water, I put it in here too. I said, imagine there was one action you could take that could help you feel satisfied and stay full longer, make your skin look healthier, help your digestive system so you can stay regular and shrink your midsection, improve your physical performance, give you more energy, and improve your brain function, and help you reduce frequency of headaches, and it's free. Would you take it? It's like, yeah, of course. I take that pill. It's water, right? Crucial. I remember I had clients tell me, and just people tell me through the years, what's your skincare routine? You have the best skin. And part of it's probably genetic. I don't know. My mom looks young. But 31 and not a wrinkle in sight. No, but it's the same thing that I tell everyone. I drink like a gallon of water a day, if not more.
It's amazing.
It's amazing how your skin. I mean, your skin looks amazing. You never say a lady's age, right? But I mean, you have 2 almost teenage kids, a few years away, but you look like you're late 20s. I don't know. To me, anyway. Like, you look.
I just turned. You want to know what I just turned? Does anybody care?
I mean, I know, but you can tell them.
Right. 43.
Can you guys believe that? What the heck?
I don't love the numbers, but that's okay. Just the number, how it looks, 43, just icky. But anyhow. Anyways, all right, yes. Cheer to.
What about all the people out there that are 43?
I just don't. It's like I didn't like 37 either. It's just the way the numbers look together to me that I don't like. So it's not a big deal. It'll change in a year anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and your age doesn't define you. It's more of an observation. It's external, not internal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a way of tracking. But yeah, so drink your water if you want to look like if you want to have skin like Charity.
We get talked a lot. The water could be a rabbit hole, and we also talked about like it doesn't. If you need to put flavorings in it or something like that to help you get more of it in, by all means, whatever helps you, do it. If you need to do fruit infusions, or if you need to I switched to sparkling after like 3:00. I want some bubbles in my water. So I mean, I feel like it's just kind of figure out what works. And some people love it cold, and your body is supposed to prefer room temperature, but whatever gets more in, and whatever do you like a straw? Do you like those sippy cup lids, kind of like your coffee cups? Whatever works for you,
get a
right?
Crazy straw. You know what? When I was a kid, I went to Friendly's, right? The ice cream place, and they serve food, and they have the straw that when you suck into it, it would change from like clear to
Change
blue.
colors. Yes, so
Yeah,
fun. Yep.
I didn't even like the drink. I just like the straw it came with, and oh my
Yep.
god, like I was hyped. Oddly, I
Whatever the
never,
trend.
oddly, I never took the straw home.
Weird. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
Well,
is weird. Why wouldn't I want to keep the joy going? Maybe I
I
thought it
don't
was
know.
the drink that did it, not the straw. I don't know.
Oh, right, right. Not the temperature difference. Yeah, but whatever
Yeah, I
works,
didn't know.
works. Like mine is simplified. I like mine all clean and simple, and I do 2 of these a day, and I've gotten an amount of water, but then I also like it in a glass sometimes too.
I love
So,
it.
yep, change it up.
Yeah, so that's number
All
three.
right.
Put flavoring in your water. You know, if you're thinking to yourself, water is boring, is too plain, make it fun, right? And you might say, oh, but you know, or I've heard people say, what about the, you know, the additives in Mio or in Crystal Light? And I can just about guarantee that the benefits of the extra water for
Far
what you
outweigh.
want, yeah, are going to greatly outweigh any of the negatives from aspartame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or stevia.
Mm-hmm.
The other two things are number one, have it available. You know, human nature is the path of least resistance. We're always going to do the things that are the easiest generally and avoid pain and go towards pleasure. So if my water is right here and I'm thirsty, I'll drink it. If I have to stand up, open the door, which doesn't seem like, oh, that's easy to do, but it's like, trust me, when we're in the moment, it doesn't happen. You know, or
Mm-hmm.
like you're at work and you have to, you know, okay, I have to, you know, go all the way to the break room, fill it up, drink it, come back. It's just like that could take 30 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but man, it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
So have it available on your desk if you have a desk. And if you're at the nurse's station and they don't allow you to have it, just get real sneaky. That's my advice. Set alarms. The last thing there is just set alarms on your phone to drink. So we are creatures of habit. You know, the brain is always trying to, believe it or not, conserve energy and go on autopilot. That's how you can drive to work. And sometimes you pull in, you're like, wait a second, how'd I get here? It's just habit, right? So we need to build a new one. And one of the first steps to building a new habit is you have to be aware. So the alarm is your awareness. I would set the alarm every, you know, whatever's convenient. I used to do every 3 hours when I was learning to drink. I know it sounds funny, learning to drink water, getting in the habit of drinking water. Every 3 hours, and it would just say 16 ounces. So if my goal for the day was, say, like, you know, at the time, 64 ounces, every 3 hours it would go off, 16, and then I'd have my bottle, and it was, you know, done in 8-ounce increments. So I would just know, okay, I have to be at this point by that point. I'm not, let me chug.
Right. Yeah, mine is, I have to be through with this by noon. So mine's kind of
Perfect.
broken. Fine. Yeah, I just make mine simplified. And then I also would say too, starting off your day in the morning. So that means having a cup that's empty. I don't know, to remind you to just start your day with a drink. And if you have a little, have something positive like an affirmation along with it, you can do a bonus. But I think starting it off strong at the beginning, so then you can taper. So maybe you're also not getting up as frequently at night if you notice that being a challenge as well. So
Love it. Yeah, I like
how
that
you
note.
start your day is how you are going to proceed with it. So yep.
Let's go. I love it. What's
Yep.
number 3?
Eat more often, but smaller portions.
I like it. So we have a kind of an indirect. I mean, it sort of fits. We have a snack guide to share with you guys, but talk to us about that. Why is that something that could help us lose
I
weight
think it's got
indirectly?
some words in here too. The difference between like meals and snacks. We're not talking about the types of foods you're eating. It's the amount of calories you're getting in. So a meal is between, depending on your amount that you need, is 450 to 600, depending on your calorie range. And your snacks are going to be between 100 to 300. So that's all the difference is. So you could even call them mini meals if you prefer to do that and have them more frequently throughout the day. So you can just spread it out so you stay satiated longer. I have the hardest time with that word. And then you're not waiting until you're at that level 10 hunger stage. You're maybe just, you know, dabbling around at 6 or 7. And just like water, it's helping you tap into your body to check in to see if it needs something, and hopefully starting with hydration and then going in for food.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I know this wasn't number 3, but we could dive into like eating styles, you know, as well, like changing eating styles, because that's essentially what this is. You know, eating more frequently. You could also eat less frequently. As funny as it
Yeah.
sounds. I mean, that's what intermittent fasting is, right? Like intermittent fasting is probably one of the I mean, what I've seen, most effective indirect eating styles, or one of the most indirect, effective eating styles, right? Because eating styles
Mhm.
themselves don't really change as much as sometimes we believe. Like, there are subtle changes, but not enough that's actually going to change your metabolism, right?
Mhm.
Like sometimes people will say, like, oh, if you eat more frequently, I remember I heard this a ton growing up. If you eat more frequently, it's like you're going to keep the engine burning, and because it's burning, you're going to like burn more calories, and like that just doesn't exist. Um,
Mhm.
Very similarly, how if you eat all your one meal, and it's after 6 p.m., it just turns to fat because you're not moving. Your body's a little more complex than that, right? It's not going to happen.
Mhm.
You have to
Thankfully.
yeah, you got to, yeah, right. Or else I would not, yeah, be fit because I eat a
Right.
lot at night because
Mhm.
it's what works for me. So you have to figure out, like, or we have to all figure out for ourselves what eating style works best for us. And I remember I had a client, shout out Patty, woo, uh, Patty C. If you ever see this, hope you're doing great. Um, I remember with her specifically, we tested about 5 different eating styles just to see which one
Mhm.
would work. We did the,
Okay.
3 meals a day, normal, 3 meals, 2 snacks, and then we got rid of the snacks and we just did meals, and then we did pretty much 6 or 7 meals, like snacks a day, like,
Mhm.
and then
And
we
then you.
tested uh, intermittent fasting, where
Mhm.
she skipped pretty much breakfast, started eating noon to 8, and then we shortened it to like 2 to 8, and then we shortened it from 4 to 8, and then eventually she got to OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, and she was eating all of her calories in 1 meal. Now, here's the thing that was so interesting. Uh, because she did it steadily, she got to
Mhm.
the point that she wasn't really like, as long as she was drinking her water and she was hydrated, she didn't notice a performance decrease through the day. She was able to work the whole day. She didn't even think about food. She was actually more productive. And
Mhm.
then once the evening came, obviously she was hungry, but she would eat overall less calories for the day and be more satisfied because she
Very
was
cool.
getting all of this food in at once. Because one of the things that she had shared with me, and I actually sympathize with this, I'm the same way. Something feels wrong to me if after eating I don't feel full. Like right, we've talked about, and I know people have said in the past, like, oh, don't eat until you're full, eat until you're satisfied. Well, honey, I'm not satisfied until I'm full,
Cool.
for me.
Mhm.
So that helps me kind of like in my own way that I view food and satiety, to be like, okay, I'm good.
Mhm.
I don't know if you can relate to that personally,
Hmm.
or
No, I find that interesting. And then that feeling of fullness. I know there's a different feeling of fullness, like from eating carbs. Like that's almost
oh
a,
yeah,
I don't know, kind of a heavy fullness. But if you that's what
yeah,
feeling full feels like to you, because I noticed that I changed that a little bit when I stopped eating gluten and stuff because it just doesn't respond well in my body. And
mm,
but I didn't have that feeling anymore. Like you eat a big bowl of pasta, it's a different sensation than if you had
yeah.
just a like a burger or something like that. So it's kind of realizing what does full feel like to me now. Oh, it feels like, it has a different sensation. So maybe kind of dabbling in that would be interesting. And I agree. Finding out what works well for your body. Just imagine if you only ate once a day, how much that frees up time.
Frees
I'm
up
just looking at it
time.
from an efficiency perspective and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, and frees up calories like you wouldn't believe, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like how many, like, all right, so like this would be a good example. Like if I was on a weight loss, like if I was trying to lose weight, it's like these little bars that are like, pretty, I'll say pretty good. Like they don't have a lot of ingredients, they're all natural ingredients, all that stuff. This bar has 230 calories. So it's like that adds up. And if you're in a deficit and eating 1,500 a day, that's 1/6 of your calories. If all of this goes away, and now all you're eating is like real food, not snack foods,
Mhm.
real foods that satisfy you at dinner, you'd be
Mhm.
surprised how much you can actually eat while still being in a caloric deficit. It, in Patty specifically, I remember I think her thing was some version of like a little chocolate cake every night. So she was losing weight, 1 meal a day, and saving, essentially she would have a 1,000 to 1,200 calorie meal, which would be very satisfying. And then she'd have the dessert on top, 200, 250 calorie cake every night with calorie free whipped cream.
Mhm.
It's
Nice.
like
I'm
we
so glad
just,
that you've
yeah,
taken that journey to figure it out and stuff and have the patience and everything because it does take that. And you never know when things are
yeah.
going to change and your body needs it differently, but to check in, that's fun. Very cool.
Yeah, it's crucial. I mean, it's crucial to be able to personalize it to you, right? Because everyone can follow a guide, and everyone can follow like a, hey, do this plan. But at the end of the day, if you really want it to stick, it's got to be personalized to you, you know.
Hmm.
And a lot of that personalization is just guess and check. You got to test and iterate.
Right. I find it
Crucial.
fascinating when people send me like their meals and stuff like that. They're just like, well, how could I do better? What would you say for me? I'm like, how does it make you feel? I don't know how
Yeah.
it feels inside your body. I mean, on the outside, that looks great that you ate Brussels sprouts. She's like, I hate them. I'm like, well, why did you eat
But don't eat them. Yeah. Yeah, we got to
I mean,
find
it
something
looks like a
different.
healthy meal from my perspective. And I'm not here to judge your food choices, but I find it so funny. But it's asking that question, how does it make you feel? You might feel better on eating a bunch of Brussels sprouts or one time a day, or
Yeah.
eating, protein shakes might work well for you. Other people, it doesn't sit well. So, I mean, how does it
Yeah.
feel to you? You don't need not, I hope, I don't mind giving you my input, but I don't want you to want my input. I want you to listen to your own input because I think you intuitively know, and hopefully you can feel your body and kind of figure out, oh, that's working for me, or oh, that's not working for me.
Heck yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, definitely learning how to interpret the signals because everything's a signal.
Mhm.
But going back to the snack guide, to the first thing we said before we went on that sidebar, eating more frequently. If you're looking for just some ideas how to eat more frequently while still hitting your protein goal, I'll share this with you guys as well. Meal replacement shakes, some ideas. And a lot of these foods have 70% or more of the calories from protein. A lot, except cottage cheese, a lot of them, these ones that masquerade as high protein, they're all relatively healthy. But again, the difference between healthy and, we'll say, high protein, or like the way I like to look at food and a lot of the actions that we do is three categories. We have physique, which is how your body looks, health, which is how your body is functioning, right? Your longevity, all that stuff, and then performance, which is how you feel and your ability to be an athlete. So you have to ask yourself, like, or you have to look at things where even if something is healthy, like for example, avocado is really healthy. It's fantastic. You could consider it a superfood. It's 200 calories for one avocado, if I'm not mistaken. So, does that help with my physique? Well, it's not going to help or hurt it on its own. It's all about in addition to everything else you're eating. But if we're thinking about high volume foods to keep you fuller longer, yeah, avocado is not a higher volume food. So, in theory, it's not the best thing you can eat if you're trying to lose weight, right? But
Mhm.
it's all relative, right? Again, I would eat avocado if I'm trying to lose weight. Why? Because I balance it out with a bunch of other high volume greens
Right.
and fruit. And like when I'm quick hack, if you're out there and you're like you like fruit and you're like I just like I'm so hungry all the time, eat like a big ass bowl of watermelon. I did it every day when I was in my fat loss phase, and I never was hungry. Like crucial because you're just filled to the brim with like water, and then you hold on to the water too, which is what you want, right? You want
Hmm.
to hold on
Right.
to some of the water, so that way you're hydrated, right? If it just goes right through, you're not hydrated, and by eating fruit, you're going to get a lot of the electrolytes necessary, or some of them, to be able to hold on to that water. But
And you get that fiber in there and that pectin that makes your joints feel so good. Yeah, all the yummy
heck yeah,
things. Just making sure it's whole fruit, right? Whole fruits.
yes, definitely. All right, I'll drop this below as well. All right, hit us with number 4.
It goes right into eating the higher density foods, right? Isn't that what we were
Yeah,
talking about?
higher
Okay, kind
density.
of goes right along that one. We'll speak
Yep,
to that one.
we'll speak. So yeah, I mean, if you are trying to lose weight, right? Intuitive is, well, don't eat low volume foods, don't eat sugary foods, don't eat things that are junk food, right? But again, it depends on you personally. What I've seen is some people will remove those foods, they'll feel deprived, the inner rebel comes out, and now they are essentially saying like, well, screw this, and then they rubber band.
Yeah.
So I follow the belief, and a lot of us do to a lot of our coaches, pretty much all of them, follow the belief that you shouldn't deprive yourself. It shouldn't, like, if we deprive ourselves and say I can't have that thing, we're giving it too much power. So what we want to do is essentially say, I can eat this. It's just going to be a new rule when I do. And that rule can be combining high volume and low volume foods. So a high volume food would be something that's essentially lower calories per volume, so it gets you full and keeps you fuller longer. A lower volume food is high calories per volume. Generally, they taste better, but they don't keep you that full, right? So we do what's called food pairing. So here is a list of a bunch of high volume foods. And all of the options are essentially 170 calories. So it's like one portion. So you can see 4 clementines, 4 cups of watermelon. It's 170 calories, right? 5 cups of air pop popcorn. And the list goes on. And then you have lower volume foods, which are like the same 170 calories, 3 Oreos, half a slice of pizza, 2 ounces of goldfish, 1 Hostess cupcake, so on and so forth. Even down to some candies, 9 Starburst, 50 chocolate M&Ms, 17 peanut M&Ms, 11 Sour Patch Kids. So again, you can eat these things, but just how I would do it, how I would set up nutrition with a new client coming in the past is I would figure out like how important snacking is to them, right? Because my dad's a good example. This guide was originally inspired by my dad because he's like, I don't want to give up my snacks. And I'm like, you don't have to. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to combine them. So when you do eat these things, like I don't know, he's a big chip guy. So like when you do have these like Lay's potato chips, you're also going to pair it with some fruit. And like, cool, you can go grab some more chips, but you also have to go grab more fruit, right? And then in addition, make sure you're getting in your protein staples for the day. And then, there was a day that happened that he's like, oh man, I was at dinner and I just didn't want to eat all the protein. And I'm like, yeah, because you probably had too much snack. So make sure you get in the protein first and then have the snack. And when he didn't want as much as the snack later. So, and this, again, changed his view around the food from every time he tried to diet in the past, it was, well, I can't have those things. Well, screw them. I'm in control. I'm going to go have it, So, again, it's quieting the inner rebel. I feel like we all have it. I know I do. So, anything you want to add to that there?
No, I think that sounds awesome.
Heck yeah. Drop it in the comments. Ba-boo. And if you guys are watching this and it's helpful, feel free to let me know in the comments if this is resonating, if you have any questions, or if you just want to comment on how clear and wonderful Charity's skin is looking from the amount of water that she drinks every day. This is she's the advertisement for drinking water. All right, what's number 5, Charity?
Kind of talked about what we did. Just allow yourself to indulge occasionally and doing it with mindfulness and moderation and doing those high volume foods with it as well. I like it. So all kind of coming back.
Yeah, just have a good time. The number I like to, or the ratio or the percentage I like to think about, I made a video about this recently that some of you might have seen, and it's about being overwhelmed or having an event come up. You just have to ask yourself, how often does this happen, right? I'll give you 2 examples. The first one is if you have events coming up. I would get the question a lot. Hey, I have my son's graduation. I have a friend's graduation, their son coming up on Saturday. What do I do? And the first response usually is, have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Yeah, and it's like, whoa, I'm not used to that, right? Because usually it's deprive. Now there are some actions that you can do ahead of time, like you can make sure you're drinking enough water. You can try to get some protein in ahead of time so that you're going to want less of these other things. But otherwise, just go enjoy yourself. And the reason is so that we don't aggravate the inner rebel, right? So that you can go and have a good time and then the next day jump right back to it. Now, again, we question and we might say, well, won't that slow down my progress? Well, in the grand scheme, no. If anything, it's going to keep you on track.
Yeah, more likely to continue.
Because you feel like you're in control. There's a lot of things in life, and this, again, all goes into the psychology of weight loss. There's a lot of things in life that we feel like we don't have control over and we don't have agency of. And sometimes that's like our job, or like, some things around relationships. And we, as humans, love control. Like everyone, to some degree, wants to feel like they have control over the direction of their life. And if you don't feel like you have control, it's easy to have food take that as, well, this is how I feel like I have control. And again, that's a path that we don't necessarily want to go down. So if you already are on that path, this is how you get control back. right? You're not depriving yourself. You're allowing yourself to have those things. But from
Choice.
yeah, you have choice. So from a mechanical perspective, though, if you have an event that happens twice a month, every month for the year, that's 24 times a year out of 365 days. That is, even if we crank it up and we say 36 out of the 365 days a year, you have events, which is about, what, 3 a month? One, every 10 days. And you went off the rails, right? You would still be on track 90% of the time.
Right.
What kind of body would we have? What kind of lifestyle would we have if we were on track 90% of the time? Pretty damn good one. I don't even think I'm on track 90% of the time. I don't know if you are, you might be. But yeah, it's so powerful to just think like big picture. If we're too zoomed in to the meal or to the day, it feels like, oh my God, I've been, so like, for example, if we're so zoomed in and we're looking at the day and it's this graduation or whatever event, we go, oh my God, I've been on track 100% of the time, because you're just looking at the day and we feel guilt, we feel bad, and then it spills into multiple days, it bleeds. But if you can just zoom out and you say like, okay, I've been on track, in the last 30 days, I've been on track 85% of the time. This will bring me to 80%. Well, that's not that big of a change, right? It's all about how we view things, as corny as it sounds.
I just think from a mental standpoint too, hopefully then you can actually enjoy the event. You don't have to have any awkward conversations when you say no to the food pushers. You don't even have to deal with any of that. They don't know. Or if you do, it could give you the opportunity to talk about what you're doing. If you're just like, I'm just choosing not to put that in my body because of the way it makes me feel. Okay. Maybe have them join you, or it could just be you just enjoy in that and do moderation and mindfulness. You might find one bite of cake is more than enough and you're like, I don't need to touch anymore. Or maybe you want more. That's just choice, right? I love it.
100%.
Being fun. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just being kind to ourselves too. Like the other example I'd give is, I made a video. It's like, we come home after a long shift. It's been, 12 hours, and maybe it's even been multiple days in a row. And we just don't want to be doing any type of, healthy thing. We just order me the pizza. We don't want to work out. You don't do any of that stuff. However, we just have to look at it in the view of how often does it happen. Now, I will say, if you get to that place of overwhelm where you're saying essentially F this more than 25% of the days, something foundational needs to change, right? Yeah. Now, if it happens less than 25% of the time, I would say have empathy for yourself and allow yourself to do that thing.
Give yourself grace, yeah.
But we just got to be honest. We got to be honest with ourselves, and we have to know, like, okay, how often is this happening? Because on that video, I actually got a bunch of comments saying, what if this happens every day? Again, if it happens every day, we need to look more foundational, because either A, we need to change something at the source. Because I don't care how good you are at viewing things. Like, they say life is not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. And I strongly believe in that. However, that doesn't mean you stay in an abusive relationship, right? That doesn't, and whether that's in, personal relationships, professional relationships, work, environment, colleagues, all that stuff. Like, you can't stay in those environments and just, it just doesn't make sense. So, like, if you're feeling a level of overwhelm, you have to ask yourself, is it the place? So like the source, is it me? Is it how I'm viewing it, right? And is it something as simple as changing how I view this circumstance? Or potentially, do I need to do some deeper work and change my model of the world, how I view things fundamentally, right? I think it was Albert Einstein that said, one of the most crucial decisions we make is whether we decide we live in a friendly or hostile universe. Take it a second to let that sink in. Yeah.
Doesn't Roald Dahl have a saying about that? Like, he's like, everything is magical or nothing is.
Yeah.
And then what's that idea of what we resist persists? So if you're
Mm,
having this resistance to something, maybe you are resisting, or your rebel is coming out and you're ordering McDonald's instead of going to the gym because you're just like maybe going into your 2-year-old tantrum mind. You just don't want to. Maybe that's a moment to look and accept that, and maybe, look into the emotions behind that. But it starts with, and I also want to say, acceptance doesn't mean you condone that behavior. You can
right.
accept something that happened because that's a choice. So you no longer get to be a victim. And this goes like across the board,
Mm,
because how we do anything is how we pretty much do everything. But that one,
yes.
that's kind of an interesting, fun thing to look into. But to sit there and have acceptance for it, and then that's when you can make lasting change if you choose to,
Yes.
because you're aware and you know you have a choice.
Yeah. Powerful. It's good stuff. I like it.
Yay!
All right. Let's see. Did I miss any comments? No. I'm the big commenter today.
It's a
if this
Monday.
if this is resonating with you, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, we'd love to help as well. As always, I'll put a link above or below if you're interested in discovering how we get the results we do for our clients. You can watch a short video, and then if it makes sense, schedule a call with someone on our coaching team. And that's about it.
Yeah,
If this
random
is
side note, there's a blue moon this month, so prepare yourself. So 2 moons in August, 2 full moons.
that's how I feel about your blue moons.
Pretty much what everybody does.
Fireworks. My so quick side note too. My best friend in my early 20s. His name's Abe. He's an awesome dude, and we built my first gym together, and
Mhm.
we like spent all the time together. And his mom specifically, but every time there was like a moon cycle, like something going on with the moons, he would tell me, he'd be like, hey, check it out, it's like a quarter crescent, or like I don't remember all the, he'd be like, it's a full, it's like a super moon. He's like, go check out, he'd like text me, he'd be like, go
Mhm.
outside and look. And I just
Cool.
love, it's a quick side note about Abe actually. He was in my early 20s, I was so driven to like prove myself, right, that I for forsaked, what's the word, I forsaked, no, I took for granted
Oh,
all of these simple pleasures. Like I remember he would say like, hey, this is great and we're building this thing, and we're helping a lot of people, and we're gonna impact a lot of people and be really successful. But he said, this is what it's really about. And after every day we would come back, not every day, but a lot of the days, go back to his place and his mom would cook us dinner at like 9:30 p.m.
mhm.
because we'd
Sweet.
finish super late. And he's like, this is what it's about. And I remember there were some moments he got through to me, and I'm like, yeah, this really is great. And then a lot of the time I'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, yeah, this is cool, but like, let's get back to work. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's funny because now in my 30s, I think back to that. I'm like, damn, dude, you had it figured out the whole time. So
Already. Yeah, that's
definitely
impressive.
taking a moment to be calm and to be content. And there's no problem with wanting to grow. But if we're growing to feel complete, um, there might be something to address there too. But, who knows? That's a talk for another day.
Right? All the tangents we can go off of. The moons, I don't know. I love going out and taking the kids out and looking at the moon. It's a nice way to remember how vast the universe is, how small you are in a positive way,
Yes.
and to carry it with you. And then, getting grounded and earthing and all that other stuff, you can add all sorts of things too. But I think it is that moment. And that could be a lovely thing to add to your sleep routine
Yeah.
for that better sleep that we talked about and stuff. So, yeah, so small, simple things can make such a big difference, right?
Isn't that so interesting? Like, you can look at the vastness of the universe and you can say, like, you can look at that as, oh my gosh, I am nothing. Why should I even exist? Like, I have no purpose, I have no worth. And you could also look at it as, like, wow, I'm free,
And you're made
right?
up of the same stuff as stars. Like we're
I
all
mean,
made
that's
up of the
cool.
same things. Like we're made up of dirt and stardust. I think it's so magical to think about that. So yay.
It is interesting to think about. I mean, like, I think, like, for me, I feel like it's the most freeing thing ever. Because, like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes life feels heavy. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
money, I gotta have enough money, gotta do all these things, I gotta, you know, I don't know, all these things that we're doing to feel more, to feel better, to accomplish things. At the end of the day, like, not trying to be, again, this isn't pessimistic. I see this as being extremely optimistic because it frees us from the chains that we're holding ourselves to. Is like, one day we will pass on. And when that time comes on Earth, regardless of what you believe happens after, within a week or two, you're pretty much going to be forgotten. Even like super famous people, like it's like what Steve Jobs was like.
What did song say? He's like, I don't have problems because I can't take them with me. So modern, it's true. It's like you can't take them with you, so try not to let them bother you. Have so much impact on you now.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're remembered because you're like a George Washington or whatever, you're remembered for like hundreds of years. You just like go out longer, and it's like 500, 1,000. It's like pretty much not going to happen. So that frees you. It frees you from the expectations of other people that are holding you to certain things and hold you even to yourself, where it's like, it's a dichotomy that needs to be managed, right? I don't believe it's healthy to just live in that place mentally, because then it's like, a little side note, ever since I was 16 years old, I've been trying to develop systems to live a perfect life. Guess what? It doesn't exist. Like, it's on a spectrum. It's like everything, every category is on a spectrum. And like in this one, how I view the universe and how I view myself within it, it's a spectrum. So it's like, if I don't believe you should stay on the side of like, oh, well, because of that, nothing matters, so why do anything? And I am insignificant. Like, that's not a good place to be. On the same time, you don't want to live on the side of like, I need to, be the best, and I need to push at all costs, and I need to grow at any means necessary. So it's like I find myself never in one place, but just constantly balancing between and having the awareness for where I fall and where I need to go next. And I definitely am more towards this side right now, where honestly I haven't really felt a lot of motivation to grow. I've really just been calm. I've been content, which is...
You called it a spectrum. I think from my head, it's more of a seasonal or a cyclical. There's seasons, just like the calendar has a season. There's a time for harvest. There's a time for growth. There's a time for winter, for rest and stuff. And there's a time for new beginnings. And if you can go through those cycles, and there's a time maybe where like, I feel like in your 20s, you're on fire and you think you can change the world. 30s, you kind of maybe learn a little, you're not going to change probably even yourself. Like, let's be real here. And in your 40s, I don't know, those numbers aren't significant, but it is interesting to watch kind of the cyclical nature of that stuff and how there's seasons for everything. Isn't that a Bible verse or something too? Everything in its time. And I'm sure it's a Beatles song or something as well.
I'm sure it's a Beatles song too. That's funny.
Yeah, so but it's a true story for sure.
I like it. Melinda says, this is great info, breath of fresh air. You hear that, Charity? You are a breath of fresh air. Have you ever gotten that compliment before?
It's the sunflowers that are working it. They look so pretty.
I know, my wife loves sunflowers. I should get her some as a gift. I think she'd like that. Happy fun
faces. You can grow them, from seeds.
Yeah,
very, very easy.
We're about to ship down to... We're about to actually move. We're going to Texas. We're going to try that out. Yeah. So
Baker Creek heirloom seeds have the best ones, the best sunflower seeds to grow them.
We'll start a sunflower garden in Texas. I'll keep you guys updated. Liz says, will these be posted on a replay? Yep. I'm about to end it. And then when it ends, you'll have access to the entire live. All right, guys. We'll see you soon. Love you all.
Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.